Okay, we're back to our mental fitness series, mental toughness. Oh, I said fitness. Okay, so this is from Bridget Faith. This is talking about building emotional capacity. Important stuff for a leader, right? To be able to know our emotions, see how they can influence our work each day. So she talked a lot about emotional capacity and how this relates to ideal performance. So how can you build your emotional capacity? What does that even mean anyway? Of course we have emotions all day. We're humans, and that I think the key is realizing what emotions can do to our workday and how they'll change our perception, our focus, our attention, and then how emotions are contagious to each other. So there's just the synchrony that we have emotionally with our team members. And so as leaders, we have to ask ourselves, like, what emotions do we bring to our team meetings, especially when have the big asks for them. If we want them to make the big moves, to start a new project, get excited about a new project, we want to make sure that we're, sharing or giving off, people call it vibes. What's your vibe? What's your vibe as a leader? What emotions are you giving off? Do you feel positive about it? Does it seem like a drain or a really negative project? So what they talk about here is ideal performance, how it's both physical and your emotional capacity. So emotions can ignite energy in the crowd and for your team. So it's important to know that, but it's also important to know what drains the crowd or drains people's energy. So that's what we hear, like toxic emotions or more negative emotions. And what happens, changes our blood pressure, changes our pulse, changes our muscle tension. So we've all had that when we've been in a meeting. Someone walks in, slams all their computer down or their books down or something. You just tell that they're not having a good day. Something really big is up, and that right away we physically react, even if we don't want to. And so that's that muscle tension. It changes our vision, our perception, so the emotional state we bring, and even our neurometabolic state. So what we ate, how we slept, what time of day it is, all of that will change our perception and our focus as leaders. So we need to take all of that into account. So the negative emotions will also change our performance because we won't have the perceptions, the focus, the attention, that we would if we were in a positive emotional state. So of course we're in negative emotional states. They're not it's impossible to avoid them, but it's possible to know that they're powers, right? So we have to also realize that anger is reactive. It's generally reactive to a threat or when we feel devalued or I think devalued is a good way to say it. So we have to make sure that when we're angry about something, we can figure out why. That would be very helpful if we could get to that point. So what they suggest here is 7 steps. How many steps? Yeah, 7 steps to build emotional capacity. Ready for it? Okay. Number 1 is physical conditioning. So working out. And so they had a story in this article by Bridget Faith about a gentleman that just wasn't hitting the marks as a leader, was getting negative feedback. And so they asked him, what do you do to work out your tensions or what have you? And he wasn't physically working out, and they got him on a program, and it really changed a lot of his energy. He was able to bring more positive energy to his team, and his team definitely reacted to it and noticed it. So number 1, physical conditioning is really important. So we talk about mind-body connection, and I always say that's just the neck. So we don't have to make it magical. The mind is the brain, and the body, obviously they're connected by the neck. So it can't only think neck up as far as when you're a leader and you're professionally developing. You have to also think of what are you giving your body to stay healthy and safe and conditioned. So number 1, they recommend physical conditioning, like working out. Number 2 is to name anger and stress. In earlier videos, if you haven't heard it yet, it's coming up, but one of the earlier videos talks about stress being good because stress will show us what's important to us, what is meaningful to us, what we react to. So there are some good things about stress. So number 1, physical conditioning. Number 2, name the anger and stress. Number 2, relax your face and your voice. This is what they suggested with this gentleman that was having these reactions in meetings, and everyone was reacting to his reactions, and he was the leader. And so that by him learning how to relax his face and calm his voice, then his team reacted to that. So we all, believe it or not, are related in our energy and our emotions. And so as leaders, what energy and that we bring into the meeting, into the team meeting, into the discussion, it matters, right? So this is how they suggested. Physical conditioning, name the anger and stress. Number 2, to relax your face and your voice. 4 is empathy or compassion. So you try to imagine yourself in their shoes. So when something's really frustrating, like, why did they do it that way? You think of them in their shoes. We don't know what's going on with their family or their team, or if it's another company or client, like what's going on their end of things in business. And so we try to be empathetic and compassionate toward that. Number 5 is we use positive language. So we watch accusatory language. We try to think of speaking of things as challenges or opportunities. So the more positive we are, that will change our brain state. It'll turn on our prefrontal cortex, so that will bring our good creative ideas. That's our higher executive location up here. So we want to get out of fear and out of negative emotions and into the more positive emotions. So positive language is really important. They suggested music, because music will adjust our emotions pretty quickly. So if you need kind of a positive emotion fix before a meeting, you can put on some of your fun music that will do that for you. And then number 7 is our close relationships. So what kind of close relationships do you have? Who do you keep close by you? Do you have a growth team? Do you have anyone that you keep accountable with? That's important. Your close relationships matter. So if things are kind of falling apart at home or challenging at home, a lot of times we don't want to bring that to work, but we do bring that to work. Okay, so let's recap. Number 1, physical conditioning. Number 2, name the anger or stress. Number 3, relax your face and voice. Number 4, empathy or compassion. Try to imagine being in the other person's shoes. 5 is watch use positive language and watch your body language too, like they're doing with their face. 6 is put on some fun music or some relaxing music to adjust your emotions pretty quickly. And 7 is assess your close relationships. Hi, James. I'm making videos, James. That's my son who just walked by early in the morning. Hi, James. Okay. So what I'm asked of you is to think, when we think of mind-body connection as a leader, it's the neck. We're all connected. We're one organ. One big unit. So in order to get to our ideal performance levels, we have to build emotional capacity. And these aren't too threatening, right? So make sure we're physically conditioned. We name our anger or stress. Relax our face and voice. Be empathetic or compassionate. Use positive language like opportunity as opposed to failure or challenge. Use music and build our close relationships. All of this will matter. And so tell me which one of these, out of these 7, you're going to use. And if you need some more time to kind of digest these, let me know which one's most interesting to you, which you think could make the biggest change in your leadership development. It's really important, like the last few videos have suggested, using physical and emotional and just acknowledging that we're one unit. When we talk a lot about professional development, a lot of times it's just skill building as far as intellectual reading and things, but we also have to acknowledge that our body and our emotions will also, of course, influence our perception at work and our functioning at work. Okay? You got this, guys.